Welcome to the Scotty P podcast. I'm here today with Matt Brooks. He is a coach, head coach of Abstract Jiu-Jitsu, which is a jiu-jitsu and gymnastics gym? Acrobatics gym. Owner?
One of the owners, yep.
One of the owners. You're an active jiu-jitsu competitor in both gi and no gi at the black belt level. So you're do you have a stripe on your black belt?
No, not technically,
Okay,
no.
so black belt, husband, mentor, coach, Matt Brooks. Thank you for taking the time, buddy.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Absolutely. So I just took your 6 a.m. no-gi class, and we just went over some of the clamp guard stuff. And I call it Williams guard.
Yeah.
I had an instructor under the Matt Serra affiliation, so.
I think that's like the proper name for it, for the most part.
Yeah, so Williams guard, where you kind of, it's like, I feel like a lot of people in closed guard stay square too often.
Yeah,
and
especially in no-gi.
Yes, and the Williams and clamp guard is, you know, getting your hip out and then kind of putting your guard more on top of their shoulders so you become a little heavier.
Yep.
But I really appreciate that series, so I'm always excited to like go back and work through it. And I find that my main game with the underhook, it like ties right into it, because if they bury it and try to kill my underhook, I go immediately into...
You can attack it. Yeah.
Right into the clamp guard stuff.
This is one of my favorites, for sure.
Yeah, you got the build for it. You got the long flexible legs.
Yeah.
And you can do, not only is it like, in my opinion, like a super fundamental position, I get there immediately, especially like a wrestler who's like just like got you off a double and they're really trying to put pressure on your hips. You literally just shove their head away and you're right into it.
Yep.
But I find that it's fundamental, but you can do some really cool stuff with it. You get really good at it and you apply some fakes in there. Next thing you know, you got them like a pretzel.
I think it's like a really creative guard. I think you can be really creative with it, especially if your limbs aren't super short, you know?
Right.
So it's a cool one. Especially against a wrestler. I feel like they're so forward, that it's easier for me to let them kind of come to that. So.
Yeah, like button airhead down kind of style.
Exactly. I'm like, all right, you got it. You're on top, man.
Yep.
This is great for me.
Yeah. Absolutely. So your gym is called Abstract Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm a huge fan of sacred geometry and geometry in general, right? Like you could argue that most of Jiu-Jitsu is geometry, right? We're using triangles and structures and wedges to submit people and control people. But also this idea that there's more to Jiu-Jitsu than meets the eye. But I'd like to hear your opinions on kind of where you're going with Abstract Jiu-Jitsu and like your whole like style.
So when we started it, we had, like I said, taken about a year off at brown belt. Just I had low back injuries. I kept getting, I think it's just how I was training. A lot of bolos, a lot of inversions, a lot of yoga and a lot of stretching, but not really a lot of strength training or anything. Nothing to balance it out, really. So I took a break and did a lot of rock climbing for a while. And then me, Pete, and Garrick would constantly meet up. And those are the other two owners and the other head instructors too. We would meet up and talk about training. And then finally they're like, let's just go get a place to do it. So I had a buddy that had a karate school where I did like acrobatics lessons out of, and I asked him if we could use it during different times, which he let us. And unfortunately, it was at like 9:30 at night when I got off work. So we would do 9:30 to 11 o'clock classes, like 2 days a week. And then that turned into like some morning classes too. We started getting some people in, and then we just wanted to do it ourselves. So I didn't want to go train at the other schools around here. We used to be under Alva Solis. That's who we were under before, which is now Roy Davis. There's a lot of stuff that went down there that I don't really want to be associated with it. So we left, and then we helped a buddy open up his school and didn't like where that one was going either. So we figured we'd just do it our own way. And then we didn't really take a long time to find the name. We just wanted to do it different than other people were doing. We didn't want to do it like, like the old school kind of way where you show up in class and what are we doing today? Arm bars from here. And then we're going to do a double leg. Okay, we all roll. And then come in on Tuesday. It's like, what are we doing? Today we're going to do over under pass. And we're going to do, like, I get in one day and I'm just getting a little bit of technique and it's all spread out. There's no like methodical.
No system.
Yeah, there's no method behind the madness. You're just kind of just doing arm bars today. Like, okay. So we wanted to do it a little bit. Unfortunately for us, that was like more abstract than what was offered around here. So that's how we teach it. And then we do things a little bit different because of the gymnastics background, of course. But that's kind of where all that came from. We just want to do it our own way without having to take anyone else's curriculum. do it ourselves. So
right, that's really cool. Yeah, and so we met originally. I saw you competing multiple times for Elevate. So I'm a commentator for the Elevate card. I've also done combat sports coverage. So I've been in the scene, and I've seen you taking black belt super fights and competing in tournaments. And you have a persona to you because you start every match with like I don't even know what the technical term is for it, but
full.
it's
yeah.
A what?
A round off full. It's a backflip with a full twist.
Yeah, so to me, it's a 360 backflip.
Hell yeah. It's like a straight flip for your body. No.
Yeah, and so I mean, that's always exciting, right? Like, no one wants to see like the same walk out there, just standing there.
It's the Metallica song and the super prayer on the ground.
Right. So having like a little bit of, flair to it is always cool. But, I appreciate the athleticism too, because there's always that fight of like technique, athleticism, or, strength, speed, like what's the best combination. But in my eyes, you're a really good example of like, you're in shape, you're fit, and then this idea of incorporating acrobatics into your jiu-jitsu, I think is very unique.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things we do too. I think for like a super fight, especially too, for me anyway. I mean, we have business, so for me to go out and do super fights is mostly for business. I like to put something cool in there. I know for sure though that there's video cameras out there, so I know at least 100% I can land this as long as I don't roll my ankle and fall off the stage. But if I land that, I know for sure I'll be in the next footage. I'll be in something. So I was like, all right, I can cement myself as being there, whether I win or lose. But hopefully we get the dub too. But
yeah. Well, you've gotten some pretty sick wins.
I've had some good ones and some bad ones. So
yeah. Well, I think we all take bad ones. I'm kind of the nature of the game.
I'm a sucker for that last like 10 second, the ankle lock me, and I'm like, well,
absolutely. So I didn't really give you a chance to give your background too much, but I'd like to get more into your acrobatics. Is acrobatics different than gymnastics?
So depends on who you ask for the most part, but technically acrobatics is what we label our gym acrobatics for two reasons. One, at the time of when we started this, I was in the middle of possibly getting sued by a former boss of a gymnastics gym for being too close to the area. So we named it Acrobatics. And then most of the people we work with, I would say 80% of the girls and kids that we work with on the floor for acro, they're either competitive dancers for local companies, or they're dancers at their high school and middle schools, or they're going to college, or they're coming back in from college and they're getting ready for tryouts of some sort. So as far as the background goes, I've been doing this since I was 17. I'll be 35 this year. So I've been teaching consistently the whole time. I've taught gymnastics. I've ran rec programs with over 400 or 500 students at 2 different locations for just gymnastics. And then we moved on to cheerleading, which is, I went to go work under a guy named Michael and Casey Knight to basically go further basically mentor under someone else to learn more. These are both like really high level cheerleaders and cheer coaches. So that's going to be more floor work for me. I didn't do a lot of the cheer stuff, but we did all the floor work. And then the whole time working with dance studios in the background, just for my private income, and make sure all that works. And then we just kind of put it all here. So acrobatics versus gymnastics. We just do everything on the floor here. With gymnastics, you're going to have apparatus, bars, beam, high bar, fall, all that stuff too. We just keep it on the floor.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Cheaper that way. Easier for us. And it's a specific business model too. There's no one else in the area that I know of at all that does what we do.
Yeah. And your gym's awesome, man. You have a really nice facility, plenty of mat space.
Yep.
You can't argue with that. So how do you feel like your acrobatics like aids your jiu-jitsu?
I think as far as, we'll start with the teaching aspect. Teaching gymnastics for such a long time, you have to have kind of a path. We're trying to get here. How do we get there? We're climbing a ladder. How do I get to the top? Step by step by step. We can't miss too many rungs. Otherwise the chances of injury or worse start to happen. So piece by piece by piece, teaching on the gymnastics side has really helped us make the curriculum over there. So like when we do the adult curriculum or even the kids, it's all methodical and thought out piece by piece by piece. So we can kind of see the learning of them. And then we try to circle it. So I think as far as teaching, it's definitely helped because I've taught so long now with all different kind of ages of kids and adults. So that's a huge step. It's a huge benefit, I think, is just having that experience. Aside from that, acrobatically and physically, I think more people should learn how to do like a cartwheel, a handstand roll, forward rolls. I think those should be like mandatory for an athlete or anyone that considers himself to be an athlete, you should be able to roll. And if you can't, then maybe have some sort of injury or something. And I'm just being rough about it, but I think you should be able to roll out of stuff. I basically learned how to tumble and do all kinds of flips just on the floor and bars and stuff too. But I think mostly just having air awareness, like being able to kind of know where you're at, where your limbs are at in any given moment. It's the same as jiu-jitsu, just a little bit different. So I honestly think they're very similar though, like as far as like the body control you get. So whether you're doing jiu-jitsu against another person or handstands and rolls and flips kind of by yourself off of an apparatus, I think they're very similar, just body awareness most of all. So.
No, 100%. That was one of the things that I've heard other black belts from other martial arts talk about Marcelo Garcia having, his cerebral awareness. I've also heard it called kinesthetic awareness, where you understand where your body's at in motion. Even though you might not know the specific throw or the specific technique, you can feel it.
Yeah.
And, I'm not a acrobatics guy. I can't do much of anything. Even my cartwheels are pretty terrible, but I respect people who can do it. And I've always been very interested in it. But I go to B team often and I train down there, and the number of times that J-Rod can use a cartwheel to his advantage is absolutely insane. Like just like positions where I'm like, I can't believe I'm here on him. I actually got this. And then boop. He hops over to the other side and he's on my back somehow. And he can like do one with like barely putting his hand on the mat because he knows how to make you kind of almost carry him a little bit.
Yeah, you're his hand.
Yeah. And then he essentially knows that if he just gets his feet over the other side of your body, gravity's just going to take him over to your back. And how effortless he did it to me multiple times in the same round. I was just like, this is crazy. And Craig Jones is now going viral for that triangle that he set up off the elevator wall.
Yeah, that's sick.
Right? And that's, again, that flexibility, the mat awareness, being able to kind of lift your body off the air. Yeah. Man, all super, it's like, one of the things I appreciate about learning skills outside of jiu-jitsu is that something that is subtle in jiu-jitsu is more profound in a different art. And so I feel like, like you said, aerial awareness, that mat awareness, it becomes a lot more profound when you're rolling around doing flips and stuff.
I think so. I mean, I've been training jiu-jitsu and tumbling or acrobatics, gymnastics. It's almost the same shit, to be honest to me. I've been doing them pretty much the same amount of time. So I started teaching that when I was like 17, and I started doing jiu-jitsu probably 17, 18 at the same time. As soon as I graduated high school, I got the job and I started doing that, learning everything. It's been about 15, 16 years now. I've never had a major injury. I've never had anything catastrophic happen in jiu-jitsu, although I've had tons and tons and tons of mat time in many different aspects. So I don't know if that's just maybe I've gotten lucky. For sure I have gotten lucky, but I do put a lot of the benefit on having some sort of the proprioception and air awareness to kind of keep you safe and knowing when like something's wrong, this isn't good.
Yeah.
Let me tap.
For sure. I attribute a lot of my ability to stay injury-free from the many times that I've been in the positions and almost got hurt. Where like,
it's close.
I felt my neck almost go the wrong direction, and then I just happened to get lucky and move my neck the right way. So many times that happening, I know like how important it is to understand where my neck needs to be in relation to my shoulders and my hips.
Yep, and you keep it in alignment.
People, man, especially if you're a big guy, I guess it's even more if you're a smaller guy, but if someone can stack your feet over your head, they're gonna do it, man.
Yeah.
White belt, blue belt, they're like, if I can just pin you.
Yep.
So it's like, inversions are fun until someone's like, doesn't like you doing that and smashes your feet down to the mat.
And especially if they can hold you there, it's like, it's awful.
Right. And so I've been working that with my guys. I did some yesterday, just like having them drill their feet going over their body, like a backwards roll, but then slowing it down enough to where your feet go this way, you look towards your feet so that your head gets out of your own way, right?
Yeah.
That's how I teach the backwards rolls. But it's like, if you want to go this way, your feet go that way, you look that way. You're going this way, your feet go that way, you look that way.
Yep.
And just like, and then now dragging their feet across their head and, having them follow it. Because it's like, that's how, injuries happen, is you didn't move your head. And
you've never done that position. And you're like, and now you're here with someone smashing you. And it's like, what do I do?
Exactly. Right. So, I feel like gymnastics or acrobatics is like, neck's got to be a pretty big piece, right? Like, because I feel like when you're flipping and stuff, like where you're looking and your head is important.
It depends on the skill. Like a lot of the times you're going to want to follow your hands and kind of follow where they're going to go. A lot of times you're going to want to follow your shoulder and like kind of look off to the side, like you're saying, to free your neck, you know? So it's hard. I don't like to put any like ground rules. Like if my feet go this way, I look this way, because not always that will be the case. I think a lot of it is just getting them exposed to the skills though early, like having them do a shoulder roll. Like roll over this way, this way, getting used to the rolls first, and then put it in, like, for example, easy drill, especially piggybacking off the stacking thing. Have them start triangles, and then when they're getting stacked, now I'm going under my legs on top. That's the side I go under. Now I do that minor inversion this way under the leg, roll them over. So I usually show them that whenever we do triangles too, just to get used to that, like inversion on that side rather than just the acrobatic side.
Right. Yes, man, I'm gonna make my guys do that for sure.
That one I think is a very helpful one. And then we do like we'll do a foot following drill. It's kind of dumb. We tell the kids too, but like there's eyes on your feet. So the person will just walk around. I mean, you just have to have your feet facing your partner. So when they go over, you're kind of, yep. So that's going to warm up the shoulders and spine anyway and get it kind of where just go a little further this way, and that's a roll now. No, it's kind of the same stuff though.
When I teach jiu-jitsu, obviously you want to get into, there's like so much good fundamental stuff that's fun. You know, you kind of want to jump into like arm bars and back takes.
Yep.
But then it's like, sometimes I'm like, hey, this isn't going to be fun, but we need to do break falls.
Yeah.
We need to tuck our chin, and we need to sit here.
Dude, there's so many people that come in and just like, boom, hit their head. I'm like, what are you doing? Oh, not so many. That sounds really bad. There, Danny. There's so many people that come in and don't just know how to fall, I think. Or like I don't understand it, because I guess I've been doing it for too long. So my perception of it's definitely skewed, but they'll just fall and like let their heads hit the ground, or like their shoulders and stuff. It's very strange. Even when we do like Osoto, Osoto's a very easy, or it's a very beginner takedown that people learn. I think it's dangerous as shit too, but
the Osoto is where it's like a trip.
You have like a overhead collar tie or wrist and sleeve, and then we step around the back of the leg. So outside catch.
Outside catch. Yep. Okay.
We teach that a lot. Or we don't teach that. We do teach that, but I think it's a very common technique. But there's a lot of injuries involved in that too. But I see a lot of people when they do that, they just like fall, finally. I'm like, stay rounded, dude. Like, use your core, stay involved.
Yeah. Disperse the energy too. Don't just fall like on one spot.
Any of the throws, I just say, hang on to your partner. Because if you hang on to your partner, you're gonna be wrapped around them, and that's gonna keep you kind of safe. But we don't do a ton of those. So easier, less crazy tosses. No.
Yeah, man. So you compete a lot. You also coach, obviously, you're a business owner as well, so you're like balancing all these three things. And I find myself, it's not easy. It's not like, oh, I'm just competing and I teach and it's like
I'm living the life.
Living the life is very difficult because you have so many people that rely on you, right? You got to give your all to your students. You got to give your all to your competing, because you don't want to put yourself out there and get smashed. And then you also have to make sure that the business stays open for everybody. So I'd like to hear your kind of like how you've been able to manage that, because in my eyes, you're a successful competitor, successful owner, successful coach. So I'd like to hear how you've been able to manage that path.
It depends, like the bigger, I think the bigger castle you have, or the bigger business or building you have, or bigger space you have, the more you need reliable people to be around you first and foremost. Like I have my wife, she helps a lot. And I have Coach Garrick and Coach Pete, the other two business owners. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do something like this in the morning, you know? So everything's kind of divided up on when we teach and when we do this and that. Yes, I am in here every day, pretty much Monday through Sunday, but I do like what I do. All my friends now, I've hired my stepdad works here. All the people I haven't been able to see for a long time, I just bring them motherfuckers to me.
Yeah.
So they come see here, and then they're able to get some healthy lifestyle stuff in, and it's easier for me to kind of keep it all moving like that. I think is a very helpful thing. So having a good space and then having good business partners to kind of help you dissect all that. Later, Brian.
Later, guys.
See you, buddy. Great roll today.
Thank you.
There you go. That's Danny's brother. The guy in all the red.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, very cool guy. I think just being able to have, first and foremost, you have to have some sort of partners, especially if you have something that's big. Like we have a few programs. We have a kids 4 to 6 program, a kids 7 and up program. We have an adult program. We have gi and no gi classes, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. throughout the week, 11 a.m. And then we have a 7 p.m. We have a Sunday open mat, 10:30 until noon. Kids competition class on Saturdays at 8 a.m. We offer more than most people offer in their whole school. And that's besides the acrobatics, which starts from 3:30 all the way until 7:30 or 8:30 every single day, Monday through Friday. So there's a ton. If we didn't have the right people in here, it would be very incredibly difficult. As far as balance goes, you have to have like as far as balance goes, you have to enjoy what you do. So you can balance anything if you enjoy it. What won't work is being able to balance something that you don't really want to even do, or you do it just for money. Like I couldn't just do this for money and expect me to feel content and happy with it. So I do this for the culture, really. I do this for the area. We want to be a good impact for the area and give people a place that they can come into and get healthy, get some good socialization, learn some cool skills, just better themselves, really. So liking it and having good business partners is like number one.
Heck yeah.
And then sleep. Yeah. And a good nap in the day.
Yeah. I'm all about that, dude. Yeah, loving what you do, 100%. It's funny, you know, a lot of things that end up being a business, some people will like, you'll find, especially business-minded people, they'll run the numbers on something and they'll be like, they'll look at this gym like, oh, look at what he's making. Mm-hmm. The numbers add up. We should open a gym up in this location. We can get those same numbers. But what is not added into those numbers is how much time, effort that you put into it.
It's the faces too. You have to have the faces in the gym. I've seen there's several gyms around here. There's a few gymnastics gyms as well too. We have people come in to watch our program sometimes from other schools. And we invite them in, like, come learn it, come see it. I guarantee you're not going to do it as good as I am. Like, at least for right now, you know, and if you gain it later on and you have that passion, that's going to happen anyway. I can't stop that, you know?
Right.
I think that everyone just does stuff so different. You have to be happy to be here. The people have to know you. You have to be able to have decent communication skills. I feel like a lot of people can be very good at jiu-jitsu or gymnastics and just have terrible communication, interpersonal skills, or a social read. They can't read the cues.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, especially in jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of people that just don't know how to read social cues, and they're very uptight, you know? So there's a lot of ego, and there's a lot of less learning because of that ego, unfortunately, for a lot of people. And for me, I really don't care either way. My job is to get better at what I do every single day, as much as I can anyway, and give that to other people. And then hopefully they give it back to me, and we just keep going, you know? So it's easy. I feel like it's easy if you're not an idiot, but
right.
It takes time.
Yeah. I feel, for me, this is why I do the podcast, is not because it makes sense as a business numbers wise, but because I just love doing it.
It never makes sense at first. It really doesn't.
Man, if I put the numbers out there on what it takes to keep this thing going, you just be like, why would you do that?
Why am I looking at that? Yeah.
It's like, dude, you know, for me, it's like, I'd want to hang out with you, either podcast, no podcast, having a conversation with you would be dope either way. And I'm sure that if I didn't have this podcast and I came and trained with you, we'd have a very similar conversation as we're like changing and get training, drilling.
Oh, why not turn it into something though? Like
exactly.
Like turn it into a product not that you necessarily have to sell, but a product that somebody might want to watch.
Right.
You know?
Right. And so anyway, again, it's my love to meet new people and train at new places that keeps this whole thing going. So I definitely vibe with what you're saying about the acrobatics and jiu-jitsu. I really think it's you're essentially affecting kids in like a different way, right? Because martial arts is like one aspect, and you get like I feel like a certain type of kids, right? Because they gotta have a certain type of mindset to really get into martial arts. But acrobatics is like a whole other thing where you're like, you know, working with dancers and young kids. Animal. Yeah. And I taught karate before. I feel like that's a little more similar to gymnastics than jiu-jitsu, right? Just because you get a lot more kids. I feel like it's a little bit more closer to dance, where it's not, the kids that I'm working with aren't trying to be like super serious martial arts. They're just trying to have fun kind of thing.
These ones are, I will say these ones are different. So a lot of people,
serious?
They come here specifically to get their, get the acro that their dance studios might not provide at the highest level like we provide. So man, we got 4 or 5-year-olds that are like winning national titles and stuff like that. Not we, because they're in dance studios, and these kids are good anyway. They're going to get good wherever they go, but they get very good, and they're part of the program here. They get very good. They get very strong. Most of them stay more injury-free. It's just a better all-around thing for them. But a lot of these kids are crazy athletes. I try to get these guys all the time to do that. I'm like, you should try jiu-jitsu. But I'm just a dancer. I was like, I think you should try jiu-jitsu, but you might be really good.
I went to a high rollers tournament in Vegas, and I met a guy who owns his own dance studio, and he was a white belt and did the white belt tournament.
Okay.
Really nice guy. Like picked me out of the crowd and was like, "Hey man, I saw your tournament. I really appreciate your style. You're very aggressive." And I was just like, a lot of times in jiu-jitsu, when people aren't really nice, everyone's like mean mugging each other and stuff. But this guy came out.
It's social cues, man. People are awkward.
Yeah. And this guy's very nice, and but he owned his own dance studio, and I didn't see his matches, but I went on his Instagram and saw like his highlights, and he was doing like literally spinning on top of people and stuff.
Oh wow.
And, at first, I remember my girl looked at it and she's like, "Man, that guy's just doing random stuff." And I was like, at first it looks like he's being a little bit spazzy, but if you actually like look at it, it's like this dude's like doing dance moves and jiu-jitsu and somehow making it work. Yeah. Like you got this dude's feet to one side and he literally just spun around him and jumped on his back.
You're like, that shouldn't work, but it's working really well.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, of course it's a little spazzy. He's a white belt, but he owns his own dance studio, so that's got to be like black belt level at dancing. Yeah. He's got like a super popular Instagram where he's like teaching people how to do like break dancing.
That's what's up.
Handstands and stuff, and obviously the 10th Planet guys, the Freaks. What are their names? Trapezoid or Ultrazoid. Gio, Martinez, and them. They're like known for that, right? Like the whole like break dancing thing.
Yep.
They get like some different ability.
Well, I think that's too. It gives you a uniqueness. So people with that uniqueness are usually what people want to. They want to do that. They want to aspire to be unique like that and follow in that kind of footsteps. I think that's a cool thing. Right. It's cool to have two things. One thing's awesome too, but two things is nice. Like you can really mix stuff.
Yeah. One of the things about like the whole acrobatics thing that really like I see happens a lot in jiu-jitsu, like what's the sweep called? What would be the technical Japanese term if you know, where you like put your feet on them and flip them over? Is it like a drop seonagi?
The tomonagi?
Tomonagi.
Yeah. Yoga tomonagi or regular tomonagi?
Tomonagi, right? Where you put your foot on someone's hips and then you can flip them over.
Yep.
And you can do it no-gi with like a butterfly hook. You can hit that on wrestlers that haven't seen that.
Yep.
They can be a really good grappler, but if they still don't have any awareness of butterfly hooks and
where the feet are going.
Right. So you can. I've definitely hit really good wrestlers with that. But if you do that to someone who has a good understanding of like, what do you call it when you do a cartwheel and then you twist your hips midair, where you don't really spin?
It's just your hit, like body awareness, man.
Right.
Just hitting that hip in there.
Okay.
Like riding it out.
It's like, what's a round off? Is that similar?
So a cartwheel is where you land with your feet 1, 2. A round off's where you land your feet together at the same time.
Right. So and then if I did tomonagi and you do like a round off and you just flop right over my feet and then I almost look stupid. Yep. It feels like I've seen, you can do it like super slick where it really makes it look like I just fell.
Yeah. I really like watching the judo videos where they drill that. They'll do a few throws and then they come over the top. A few throws, come over top. Right. And they do it like, when the judo people do it, it's crazy.
Right.
It's like
they're
super unique looking, like super strong looking too.
Yeah. I've definitely felt that with really good wrestlers too. Some wrestlers do get that kind of experience. I think probably wrestlers that dabble in jiu-jitsu tend to do that kind of stuff more. But yeah, that ability of like feeling someone on your hips and as you're elevated in the air, like turning.
It's just like staying level with the ground or like staying on top, really.
Right.
By any means necessary. No.
Yeah. Man, so cool. So yeah, I kind of asked you how you've been balancing all the different three. I'd like to ask you about your approach to competing. I feel like, everyone's goal is most people's goal is to be able to, compete at black belt. I feel like if you're competing at the black belt level, you're doing all right for yourself. So I'd like to think so. What would be your piece of advice for someone who's, I feel like, and if I'm wrong, please correct me, but like it doesn't seem to me that you're trying to be like a Gordon Ryan, but it seems like you're trying to just stay sharp and lead by example.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's more attainable for other coaches, other people aspiring to be coaches. Like you don't have to be the best of the best, but you can use it to stay sharp. So what would be your advice for that kind of person?
I think like you said, that's exactly what I think is like less short-term goals. Like what I mean by short-term goals are like less forcing an arm bar, less risk versus reward. And more long-term goals, like more for me is longevity. Can I do this in 10 years? Can I still walk around? Can I still do my acrobatic stuff? Can I still go rock climbing and walk and just be overall healthy and mobile? For me, that's one of the main things I think about, is just being able to stay healthy. So when I get ready for tournaments is one, I mean, you got to sign up for a tournament, sign up for whatever one you like. I like the Jiu-Jitsu World Leagues, are pretty cool. The medals are nice. Just a nice clean tournament. And then you could go IBJJF, whatever tournament you want to do, whatever it is, a super fight, doesn't matter. Make sure your injuries are good, make sure you're sleeping good. A lot of mental exercise of like, I can win, I can do this. They're going against me, I'm not going against them. Like I compete against myself every day. Now you got to compete against that guy. So for me, as getting the mind state in the right spot, or at least attempting to, battling through the week up to the tournament where I just want to go fucking eat fast food or drink or do other stuff to clear my mind, or make my mind, I guess, just get it out of there, you know, get the nerves out of there. So trying to avoid that. And then honestly, just going and competing. I think it's important. Just go do it. But train, drill, all that stuff, and just don't go at a crazy high intensity. I don't think you have to, unless you want to be Gordon Ryan or anything like that. But then you will for sure 100% have injuries. It's going to cost you a certain amount of your body. And if that's something that you're willing to risk to eventually probably have your own school, that's fine. But I'm ahead of you now. Mm-hmm. So, and I just got years in the bag, just getting better. So
right.
I think it's more focused on the goal of longevity.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot to unpack there, man. You're really touching on some things.
No, I'm driving off everywhere, sorry.
Yeah, no. There's just so many things I want to touch on. First off is like the longevity. Mm-hmm. Man, finite games. When you realize you're in a finite game, you search for an infinite game. And you realize that like no matter how hard you push to this game, Father of Time's going to get you.
100%, yeah.
So you should, you want to try to train in a way that increases how long you can play.
Yeah. I mean, we all want to get our goals too. Like we all want to go win gold. I know anyone my age wants to go win Master Worlds. Everyone, they want some sort of title, some sort of recognition. We all want that. There's nobody that doesn't want that. And everyone's going to put in a certain amount of work, but not everyone's going to put in enough work. And then not everyone's going to get lucky. Not everyone's going to not be sick before a tournament or have something catastrophic happen in their life. Like there's so many fine-tuned things that are going on, or so many little things that make it dicey. The best thing to do is just, I think, train regularly, keep your body sharp, make sure your body's not injured, make sure you're sleeping good, and then get your rounds into and go get exposed to different people. Like, don't just have your regular rounds with your regular people, regular students, or regular friends. Go see people that I've never met this person before. I don't know what they're going to do, you know? Right.
I want to touch on that because you're really making a point to do that. But real quick, also, the mind state. Man, I just competed at this new breed, and I was mentally defeated by round 3.
You look good out there, though.
Yeah. I mean, I felt good, and I looked better than I was in my mind. And that's just, again, a reminder of just like, even if I'm tired, I have to remind myself that I'm actually not tired. It's just my brain telling me that.
You only got 3 minutes left, man.
Yeah. And because I had my buddy in the stands and then my girl too, and they both told me afterwards, they're like, you look completely calm out there. But in my brain, I was like, I'm done. Yeah. I can't do anymore.
Just get me.
Yeah. And even at the black belt level, I'm reminded that I have a huge confidence issue. Because if I would have believed in my mind that I'm going to be okay and that I can keep fighting, my finals match would have played out a lot differently.
Yeah.
So I lost to a guy I'd beaten before at 80cc. It was the Dallas Open, I believe. I beat him by decision, and it was a good match. And then this time, man, he had 2 purple belts, submitted them both, got to the finals, and I had a brown belt and a black belt and went the full 8 minutes with them.
Yeah.
So, man, I was just more exhausted. He was a little more calm. He had a different game plan this time. I can tell he approached me differently this time. And it just kind of like mounted to where I was already in a panic state before he really done anything. And he went for an arm. I got out of the arm bar and he went right to my leg. Attempted a knee bar. It was shallow, dude. It was here, dude. I eat that all day. I could, but I was literally already kind of just like, my brain was already decided to tap, and I was just like,
better safe than sorry a lot of times. To be honest.
But that excitement of is like, I know I could have made it. So it's like that's the next thing. It's just expanding that round longer.
Yeah.
And not letting
keeping control longer. It's like finish what you came out to do.
Yes. And it just certifies in my mind that I am on the right path and that I just need to spend more time getting in the right mental state. Cause I didn't, it's just like, sometimes you just go out there and then you're just battling these thoughts. And it's like, I feel like doing what you're saying, maybe taking 15 minutes or 30 minutes out of a day and doing mental prep.
I do it in my car rides. Like I listen to weird stuff. I'm like, all right, I gotta listen to this audio book. This book, that Winning by Tim Grover, is a little bit over the top, but it's good. Like if you're trying to win stuff, or if you're trying to do stuff, but then you have to balance out with like longevity too. Like I want to win. I want to be the great. I don't really want to be the best in the world or anything like that, but I want to win. Would be great at my normal stuff. I'd like to get some sort of accolades for myself, mostly to boost business and give me more opportunity to train different people, to be honest. Like the better I do competitively, the more people want to see me and the more I get to roll with new people. So it just snowballs into me doing better and better anyway.
100%.
It's hard, like you said, though. It's hard to maintain your mindset throughout several matches, especially when you're taking note of these little things like, man, that guy just got a bye. He's coming in first round. His last round looked good. It can get in your head a little bit, and that's kind of what we talked about earlier with the sometimes the other person gets lucky. Like they're going to have a first round bye.
Yeah.
Their opponent's not going to show because they didn't make weight. So now they had a bye. This opponent missed. Now they're in the finals. What the fuck? How is this guy in the finals? I just fought 4 dudes to get here, and then now I got to fight this guy. Doesn't matter. Like it's best to just like fucking eat it and just go. Just okay, let's do the next thing and just see how it goes. Being 100%. Present. So instead of thinking too much about that.
Yeah, and my conditioning too. It was like
cardio is key.
I can roll an hour straight at an open mat all day and just crush people. But man, having multiple 8-minute matches with other black belts,
it's like, oh, he's gonna get me.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
No, I agree.
But another thing, so you mentioned after that. You're talking about training with a bunch of different people, especially if you want to be competitive. And another reason I really wanted to link up with you is because, man, you have all kinds of seminars going on. You're bringing in what I would say most people probably wouldn't take the time to really set up these seminars, but, because it's not, I'm not going to make a bunch of money or I'm not.
I want to meet them and roll with them.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, instead of like, oh no, I got to charge $80 or $100 to make money off this. You're kind of like, well, even if we only get like 8 to 10 people, we'll charge 40, and then you're essentially taking the experience and bringing it into with your students. Yeah,
we pretty much like the money we give. I'd say we've done only 2 seminars here. We've never made any money off of it. All the money that we have made has went straight to the people coming to do the seminars. I don't make my money there. I make my money teaching kids how to do an aerial. I make my money keeping a class full and providing a good environment for everybody to train in. It would be sweet if I could make money off a seminar, but in order for that to happen, I need to be teaching the seminar,
Yeah.
Not having someone come and do it. So I like having people in here, and I think having new blood in here and different people that you see that have cool games come in and teach some stuff is always an interesting thing to do.
Right. Well, I think it'll build too. I know someone who he's in the yoga industry, and he does like yoga, ice bath, movement, breath work. So I guess the yoga is the movement and the breath work. And he started off doing donation only ones. And so he's like coming out of pocket with the ice and stuff, and was breaking even with the donations. And then he started charging $40, and then he started charging $60, and now he's got ones that are doing $80, $120. It just slowly like build and build and build, where at first you don't know who's going to show up. Maybe you get like 8 people, maybe you get 6. But now he's like got way too many people, and he's like finding locations and stuff. So I feel like I kind of sense that here, where if you keep doing these seminars, it's like, man, Abstract's always going to have someone cool.
That's what we want. Like that's what I would like us to have. The gym's so big, like we have so much space. It's a clean gym. I want people to come in and see it.
Yeah.
Especially if we can bring them in with a cool seminar. I mean, why not? Come in, go get lift on, take a shower, and go about your day.
Yeah, that's sick. And then I had a cool moment the other day. I brought you up. We did one of my purple belts. What time is it, if you don't mind?
8:02.
Okay, cool. So we're right on time.
You're good.
I teach at the sister school, right? An affiliate, Underworld Jiu-Jitsu. That's where I'm the head coach of. But I got a purple belt from the dark side, HQ. He's like a good training partner of mine. He's been visiting me sometimes because he's a little closer sometimes. And he was rolling with one of my 15-year-old Zayden, a white belt, who I brought to the
shaggy hair kid.
Yeah.
He was at the tournament too. He couldn't find a match, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was up there listening to that.
He came to the Chris Wojcik seminar, and anyway, he was rolling with my with my friend, the purple belt, and he was like, "Where the hell did this kid learn false reap entries from?" Because he knows, like, he's like, "You over here teaching these guys false reap?" I was like, "No, he actually came to a Chris Wojcik seminar," and he was like, all right," and it's like just the thought that white belts now are able to do that
and actually hold, like, you're like, oh, my leg's actually trapped. Like, what's happening here?
Yeah, because I was doing the, I started showing them, because I trained at the dark side in the morning yesterday, and then I decided to just reteach what he showed. We were just doing entries into 411 with an inside heel hook.
Yeah.
Just because, even though the white belts can't really use heel hooks, I was like, I don't want you to learn heel hooks when you can finally use them.
Yeah, you need to learn them now.
You kind of already got to know these things.
Agreed.
So we were doing that, and then he went off drilling with the purple belt, and then he's like, yeah, I know this one, and then did it. He was like, where the hell did you learn this thing from?
It's like took it a level up.
Yep.
Super false reap entry.
I've been telling him, I'm like, man, you guys are learning moves I didn't learn until I was a brown belt.
Dude, I never learned any leg stuff. I'm not even playing like until probably literally brown belt. Like, 'cause we didn't do leg stuff like when I was doing jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Not that it was that long ago. I mean, I hate to say, like, back in the day, it does start to get there, man. It's fucking, like you said, it's creeping up. Time's coming.
Yeah.
But back in the day, we didn't do that. We didn't do, or at least at our school, we had, to be honest, I don't think we had a very great teacher going through that stuff. I wish there was more of a curriculum stuff. So I'm happy to be able to provide that now. But I just think about how much better I could have been already at this point if I would already, like, be learning that stuff.
Yeah.
You had, like, a straight ankle lock. I don't think we barely did that. And then now it's like, even for these guys, we'll teach them 411. We did this for 6 weeks. We have a drill where we go single leg X to 411 or saddle. And then for a gi, I teach them all the IBJJF legal sweeps out of it. So now we can sweep up this way, this way, this way. Or for no gi, okay, this is the heel. Here's your inside one. Here's this, here's this, here's this. Try to find something and go for the finish, like within reason, and drill it. And even the white belts, they're catching heel hooks now, which is nice. Yep. But they're catching not just like regular, they're like catching nice secure heel hooks, which is good to see, and they're practicing the right way. They're catching it, and like they're not just ripping their elbows up and crazy stuff. So I'm very happy to see like safe jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. And people might wonder, it's like, oh, well, they can't use heel hooks, so why would you teach them? And then
to use it against me in class. No.
Or like this idea that, oh, they'll be better at arm bars and other stuff if you don't learn the leg locks. But I think what we all understand at the highest level, or like the level that where it matters, is that it's your ability to put it all together. Like, you can get wins for knowing leg locks and catching people really simply, but we all know that the better you get, there are gonna be people with good leg defense, and then they're gonna have good back defense, and they're gonna have good armbar defense. And the only way that you're gonna be able to beat them is by chaining it all together to be able to do everything.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things we went over at Chris Wojcik's seminar. He was like, a lot of these guys are going to turn and they're going to escape, and you go for the back take.
And then we do this, and we do this, and we do this. You have to have like a circle. I feel like make a circle out of it.
Yeah, geometry circle.
Back to the shapes. No.
Yeah.
No, I think that's very true that, like you're saying. I think a lot of people don't. I think for teaching, especially like white belts, I think teach almost everything. So Russ, teach almost everything, but also make sure that they know all the safety and not safety part of it. I feel like a lot of schools don't go over that, and they're like, just go here, and then they kind of like chuckle about how dangerous it is, which is like doing your students a disservice when you're like, just squeeze it here and rip it. And then, nah, not really. But then you have students, because again, especially in the jiu-jitsu community, there's so many people that are just like socially inept. Like they're just not, I don't know what's up with all the community, the whole world, but they'll take that serious, and they're like, before you know it, they're cranking a little bit too quick, and it's like, now your knees pop, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then it's just the chuckling thing, like, this happens in jiu-jitsu. Like, it shouldn't, like, I don't think, not in practice anyway.
Yeah, man, you said something today while we were training that I wanted to like steal. Something about like taking your time or going slow, about like warming up or something. But I find myself like constantly reminding my students to like take it. Oh, you were just like, I think when you gave people the option to either warm up or
the flow roll.
Communication. That's what it was. Because man, I really like that, because I have to tell so many people all the time. It's like, hey, I want you to come with me and train, but I also can't like baby you and watch you every training partner and make sure that no one's going to hurt you. Yeah. I need you to speak up and tell people like, hey, I just want to flow roll.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just put it so eloquently. It's like, that's a communication skill, because it really is unga bunga when you're just like, I'm just gonna roll. Yeah, sure, I'll roll with you. And then you kind of,
it's just us. We're just gonna go. And I don't know what you're gonna do.
Exactly. And it's like, I find this, I don't mean to put ladies on the spot, but I feel like this is something they struggle with, and I get it because it's male dominated. But I often find sometimes that chicks will allow themselves, or women will allow themselves to roll with a 200-pound guy just because that person asks and they're too scared to just say no.
Yeah.
Or just say, hey, can we just flow? Or can we just drill? And, you know, as a guy, you can kind of see that as like a knock on you that you have to do that. But that is just ego, and that we have to see past that and be like, hey, you're trying to take care of yourself and learn this art, and that has nothing to do with you trying to roll against a 200-pound guy that you don't trust or don't know. You know, I try to remind my students like, hey, you should never roll 100% with someone you don't know.
My meanest moves are with my best rolling partners.
Yes.
Like, that's what I'm gonna cover your mouth and pinch your eye, and like I do all that. That's a good talking point though, like you said, about especially with the women. My wife weighs like 115 pounds. When she first started, it didn't go very good because you have typical dudes. Like, again, some of these guys are just so dense. I just don't understand how you can't see basic social cues. But clearly, like, she'd say we're drilling arm bars, and he's just like, yeah, you got it. And she's like, oh, really? That's good. Yeah, that's tight. That's good. And it's like not doing any pressure or anything, just like giving them this and that, like just not rolling right, or say they do get him. My wife tells me this all the time. I got him, and the guy goes, man, if you're my size, I'd have to really try, or have this. And it's like, dude, why the fuck? Well, just like, stop. The thing we try to stress to the students is learning how to roll with everybody, because we have a lot of big boys too, like learning how the big guys can roll with the little guys, and vice versa, women with men. We have women's only class as well too, but they all come in different shapes and sizes as well. You have to learn how to work with your partner. I should be able to get something out of rolling with a 100-pound white belt girl. I should be able to drill something or work some sort of aspect of my game during that roll, while allowing her to work that same thing too. She's working something, we can work together and both gain. It's not, I hate when people don't want to work with someone because they feel like they're not going to get anything out of it. That just shows to me that you have a not an understanding of jiu-jitsu or how to skill acquisition works. Like, what skill you're going to work with this body type? What skill you're going to work with that body type? You have to have different goals and agendas, and so many people just do not have that. They just let you do whatever, or they try to beat the shit out of you. And it's like, then before you know it, they're out for 6 weeks because their rotator cuff's gone. It's like, bro, I've been telling you. I've been trying to tell you.
Unfortunately, some things they just got to learn the hard way.
I know. Hopefully not at the expense of another student, though. That's my biggest thing. So we stress that so much here that I'm constantly on them about rolling, especially with women and different things like that. Being smart, and please communicate. You have to communicate. This is such a social sport with so many antisocial people. Like, it's cute to like, oh, I'm antisocial. Shut the fuck up. Like, we're in class right now. You can't be antisocial. We have to work together.
Yes.
So after class and you want to go outside in the parking lot and not talk to me, do that. But until then, get over it. Like, we have to work together. That's how you get better. So.
Yeah. And I feel like that communication thing, I'm stealing that, dude. I'm definitely going to tell my guys, be like, hey, make sure you're communicating with your partners, because I really do feel like it's like that, how injury happens is when you're warming up and the other person's going 100%.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I've had that moment where I like had to stop and being like, hey, did you want me to kill you, or do you need me to slow down a little bit? And some people are like, oh, can we slow down a little bit? Like, oh yeah, my bad. I'm still in kill mode.
A lot of people too, I think, especially higher belts, should communicate more. I think it'll help the lower belts communicate more too. I feel like there's obviously like a hierarchy kind of in jiu-jitsu, which is kind of, like you said, it's a little bit male dominated, but it's also just hierarchical kind of. It's almost militaristic. That's why I think a lot of military people like it, because they can go, that's a blue belt, I'm listening. Or they'll listen to higher belts, whether it's guy or girl, which is good, because it allows someone like my wife, who's not very big, to have some control over the situations, what goes on in here. And we can learn from that. Everyone can continue learning. So they go in class always to learn and make it out alive, you know?
Yeah.
I got to get home and sleep and not have my neck busted up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are you teaching the gi class?
I am.
Okay. Yes. Let's wrap this up. Well, man, I think that's a good note to end on. We covered some pretty awesome stuff.
There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. I feel like there's definitely some cool insights. I definitely enjoyed the conversation. Man, acrobatics, gymnastics, flips, like that mat awareness, the kinesthetic awareness, and the way that you apply skill acquisition. I feel like that's a good way to apply it, because I noticed that you broke the technique down into smaller steps, and that makes a lot of sense. Like for me, it was a little confusing. I was like, oh, this seems really basic, but you got white belts here, you know? And as the move got more complicated, they were executing it with more confidence.
Yeah.
And as I could see is that if you would have taught the whole move from the beginning, they kind of just would have been like very clumsily.
You would have been fine with it, but then they would have been like,
yeah.
How do I get my leg here? Well, why are you in that position? They're all backwards.
yeah. So I saw how you broke it down into smaller steps and then brought it all back together, like you were saying. I see the transfer of skill, and I really appreciate that. But thank you, Matt Brooks, for coming on the podcast.
Anytime.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, dude.
Yeah, bro. Anytime.